The journey into the Rebbe Rashab and his Sfarim, son of the Rebbe Marash, assumes leadership in 1882, and this would enter and take us into the 20th century. This may be the most tumultuous period in history, including Jewish history. Everything would change in these years. The Russian Revolution, leading to World War I, World War II. Chabad, the Rebbe Rashab, was compelled to move from Lubavitcher, which was the headquarters of Chabad for 102 years from the Mittler Rebbe's times, to move to Rostov because of the war. World War II, we know what that was about. Everything would change. And the Rebbe Rashab, in the spirit of his predecessors, took on the challenge and developed Chassidus in a completely new way. He's called the Rambam of Chassidus, like the Rambam who codified and took all the Chassidus, all the Torah, and turned it into sugyas, to organize structure. That's what the Rebbe Rashab did. Through his individual Maimorim, and particularly through his Hemshechim, and specifically the famous Hemshech Tofrei Samachvov, beginning to be delivered in 1905, and Hemshech Hayim Beis begin the delivery in 1912. These are spanned for years and developed the ideas of Chassidus that our understanding of Chassidus today comes primarily through the way the Rebbe Rashab explains it in elaborate detail. And it could be this was countering the darkness that was beginning to consume the world and the Jewish nation as well. In the beginning of Samach Vov, the Rebbe Rashab begins discussing why do we exist, the purpose of existence, why were we created. He first cites the many different opinions, Kabbalists, the sages, and then says, but the ultimate reason is, Nesav HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God desired, Lias Leidire B'Tachtenim, to have a home in this lowest of worlds. She'ein ze mitzad eze hechrech v'tam. This is not to do anything that compelled, and no tam sichli, to no logical reason. Ki im epnei shenesav v'kach shehu lamayla mitam v'das. That's what he desired. And he quotes this powerful statement from the Alter Rebbe, K'may she'omer Rabbeinu Zal, the Alter Rebbe, al zeh, if a taiv is ken kasha. On a desire, there's no question. Obviously, this is just a word we can use, kavyochel, desire, because it's the closest thing for us to understand something that is not bound to logic. Now, many people wonder what this means. Will God just have a desire out of the blue? This is a desire that transcends logic. Remember, there is no logic until God creates logic. This teaches us that existence itself is rooted not in a logical reason, which would mean some expression of the divine. It fills a need. God wants to be benevolent. God wants to express himself. He wants us to be able to receive his glory. These are all reasons, logical reasons. But the existence is grounded and rooted in the highest, deepest levels of the divine essence, going back to the etzem that the Baal Shem Tov first began teaching. And that etzem is dafke b'tachtenim. It's fulfilled dafke in this world and only in this world, not in the higher worlds. So this teaches us that when we're doing a small detail in this material world, it's not just a trivial matter. This detail is touching the taiva of the Eibishter himself, not bound. He didn't have to do it. It's not for a reason. It's not fulfilling a need. It's because that's what he wants. And we have the power to fulfill that for no particular reason and for no explanation. What we know is that's what he wants. We don't know why he wants it because there is no why. It's beyond the why. In preparing for the challenges and the tribulations the Jews would be going through in the next years, and we all know what happened in those years, 1920, what would lead to, Rebbe Rashab did something extremely revolutionary. He established a yeshiva, not that his father did not do, his grandfather didn't do, the Alter Rebbe, and he says that ich zeh gewalget. I went to the oil years and years because how could I do something my predecessors didn't do? But then he established in 1897 in Tafresh Nun Zayin, Temchet Mimim. And he explains why. He explains that this is essentially a training ground. It's not just to study Torah, that of course. Not just to bring up Yerushalayim, but a training ground to train a new army that would be spiritual soldiers that would go out in the front and fight the winds of assimilation, of apostasy, the winds that were going to consume the world in denying belief and denying God. All the forces we see today, that Rebbe Rashab, in his visionary way, prescient, he saw what was coming, and he established the yeshiva. Of course, then it was not yet easy to develop it, but the Frierdiker Rebbe and the Rebbe developed it into an army. Every Chabad house on earth is a product of this training ground that the Rebbe Rashab established at the end of the 19th century. And in the year Tofrei Samachal of Simchas Torah, this would be 1900, he said a classic talk to the students, to the yeshiva. He said, Kol ha'yetzel l'melchemes beis David. All those that go out in the war of the house of David. Case of get krisus le'ishtei, as he explains, have to separate themselves from material commitments. They have to be completely dedicated to the cause. What is beis David? Is der Gilui from Moshiach ben David. Der Yefutzu meinesecha chutza. Beis David is Geula. Yefutzu meinesecha chutza, which would bring the Geula, as Mashiach said. That bring and be as a Mashiach. For das is der Beis David, der Gilui from Moshiach ben David. And with this he empowered not just that generation, generations to come. So when you think about it, as I said, the Chabad houses, wherever they are, whatever they're doing, with that attitude, are trained in this military academy, but it's a spiritual academy. That one that teaches us that we're here to transform the world, no matter how secular it is, to transform it into Adira B'Tachtenu. The Rebbe Rashab said, every door has a key, but then there's a master key that opens all doors. A nigun. The nigun of the Rebbe Rashab, nigun achona.